we like, well, I like, and I think you guys like to always know how to get results, right? How to change things. And otherwise it's not truthful. When someone says I have this problem, and they say it's because I'm low in a vitamin, and you then say, if you strengthen that, there should be an instant shift. It might be that, yeah, that it's possible that there is a low vitamin and they just need to take it. But if it's not that, it won't make a difference, right? And I see so many people get caught up with the physical symptoms. And even with physical symptoms, if there's an emotion around it, so you can set a baseline, you should get a change in the baseline. When you, let's say someone has a vitamin problem, you say, when you think about this situation, how do you feel? They give you an emotion, and you look and you, okay, it's low in vitamin A. Strengthen, how's it now? That's how we know there's a change, okay? I got contacted by a scammer who was pretending to be an old client of mine, but I knew it was a scammer, but it made me go check on the guy to see if I could find him. And he's on Facebook. He was he's a professional golfer. And I added him on Facebook because I was going to tell him that his email's been hacked. And then I remembered, I went through the emails and realized that what I treated him for. And so this was years ago, and he came to me because he was going to have to retire, because when he putted, I think it was, or when he hit a ball and looked, his eyeball would drop. Literally, his eyeball would go boom, like a glass eyeball, bang. And so he couldn't play golf. He had this they said possible surgery. The experts said possible surgery, but I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't like a lazy eye. It literally just lost control of his eyeball. And so, when he's, say, setting up a putt and he looks at the hole, his eyeball will go. And so he asked me if I could help with that. I was like, I have no idea. But I started to work with him, and I worked with him maybe 3-4 times, like constant strengthening, because at that point the thing had become such a physical problem that it literally screwed up his eyeball. And I strengthened, and it completely resolved it. And I was thinking about that. I was like, holy shit, I remember that. That's amazing. The guy was like, oh shit, you completely fixed my eyeball. And so I remembered that, and I wanted to remind people, like, you strengthen things, you can really get, especially really downstream physical problems can be resolved. He also then contacted me about his knees and said, I'm really embarrassed to contact you about my knees because it's not as important as my eye. I was like, what? Because I saw that email, I was like, your knees aren't important as your eyes. At that time, people really, well, even now, people have no idea about this work. So anyway, I wanted to share that. I wanted to share the importance of 1 and 0s and strengthening. So I may talk a lot about upstream, but I still work with nearly every day with myself on looking at my absorption in my small intestine, because I knew it was weak and now it's strong. Why? Because I've been strengthening it every day. I've been looking at nutrient transport to my eyes, and now it's strong. So when you have a particular thing going on, sometimes you're going to have to strengthen it again and again, okay? What was I going to say? It was important. So saw that. There's something really. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to tell you about in terms of results. Who remembers when I started to work on gaining in my career? Do you remember me talking to you about it? Can you just, if maybe no one's going to reply and no one was, but I've been talking about it for maybe 3-4 weeks now, maybe 3 weeks. Can someone give me a yay? Maybe you weren't on the call, but it's just so people can remember that I really, and I talked about it, focusing on gain. Yolanda, yeah, great, thanks, Yolanda. So you remember I said that the next day after, so I told everyone I'm really focusing on it, and then I went through the hamster wheel and I saw the main one, and really started to observe it. So one of my clients talked to me. He said, when you have you see a hamster wheel, do you go at different parts of your life and look at how it's affecting it? I think that's a good question. And with career, I really looked at my career because I was hiding. I had the brakes on, and I was kind of accelerating a little bit, but I had the brakes on because of I was weak to gain. And the next day, that lady showed up on the publishing call and said, your book is much bigger than just Bitcoin space. You have a big book here. 1 or 2 days later, she sent me a whole strategy. Like, she'd spent a lot of time on it. Like, we have a strategy now for the next year, or sort of definitely months, but to a year, to build this new book. Okay. So I was like, wow, that's just, I wasn't trying to do law of attraction. I was removing and non-doing, and then it happens, right? You change your reality, you change your lens, you change your reality. So then my book's out, and I go to the conference. No one really knows me, and then boom, now I'm getting podcasts. I have a podcast tomorrow morning. I have another one booked. I have another one. I have people contacting me from all social media platforms saying either they want to work with me or thanks for the talk. It really struck home. It was the most important one there. Like, someone emailed me this morning saying, I hope people understood it. I'm only telling you this because I'm showing you, like, I'm starting to gain and I'm okay with it. I had it's kind of crazy. It had a billionaire, well, the family, but billionaire contact me an hour ago. Like, they touched base a little bit a month ago, and now it's happening. They want to, so I'm speaking to them tomorrow. They didn't even use their real name. Like, billionaires, you don't meet them; they use different names. So they've given me the real name. So I'm speaking to them tomorrow, which is, kind of, oh, okay, there's billionaire coming in. I've also can now look at all my websites, social media. I've started working on them. I'm starting to change them, whereas before I couldn't, or I would want to, but I wouldn't, or I was procrastinating, right? Which just means the brake and the accelerator is on the hamster wheel at the same time. And then I've just had a massive increase in clients coming back, or and book sales are sold out at the conference. What I'm trying to say is, if you go into the hamster wheel, you're just going to get more of the same. So you have to watch. It's non-doing, it's watching the hamster wheel. It's so counterintuitive, and some people are never going to do that. They'll never get it. They're too caught in the matrix. But this is results. And yeah, there's probably more. Oh yeah, yeah. there's more books and things happening with the publishing company and stuff. So non-doing does everything. And then finally, there was something I thought was quite interesting. I started watching, it's an old series, but I always come to things late. It was a documentary watching with the family together, called Alone. You probably know it. It's probably old. It's where people are alone for a long time. I don't know if it's where it's definitely months. They're dropped in the middle of nowhere and they have to compete. They're on their own. They have to, it's the last person standing, so to speak. And so I started watching that and I was listening. They do an intro. So the first one, they introduced 3, and then the next one, they introduced 3 more, next episode, and they tell you their motivations. And I'm sitting there with Sylvia, and you can tell who's not gonna make it by what they're saying. It's the behavior. So if they're driven to prove to others that they're the man, one of them, he was out after 5 days. He ate a little rodent and got sick, and then he thought he was going to have a heart attack. But it was I'm not being what I'm doing here is I'm not judging them. I'm just saying that the behaviors are there and they run, and there are, if you listen closely, you'll hear the behavior. And then there was another guy who like one we heard, and Sylvia looked at me because she knew what I was thinking, that it was already like it's a done deal. The person won't, you could put a bet on it. And the people who were just enjoy, like they have a different frame, they're completely neutral, just neutral, and they're just, yeah, I'm doing this, and it's just all there. So the same can be said for fighters. You can tell there's an energy to the fighters. So there was a fight recently. I'm not going to say I'd bet on this because I'm not like special. I don't, I might get it wrong. But there was a fight with O'Malley against AJ or Ajo, and this guy hadn't been beaten for 10 fights, and everyone's like, this guy's going to win. And just before when they came together, just before the fight, where they do the stare down the day before, you looked at the guy, this O'Malley, and the way he was looking, his energy was like laser. I was like, oh shit, he's going to win. Because the other guy was talking a lot. I was like, wow, he's having to try and make the other guy feel, he was trying to use psychological warfare on him, and you could see nothing was phasing him. I was like, wow, he looks like he's going to win, and he did. And then there was a boxing match in the UK. You guys wouldn't have seen it, but the first time around, this one guy won, and it was a rematch. And this time, when they did their stare down, the guy who'd won was doing a lot of talking, and it was too much. And the guy who was who'd lost the time before looked just very calm and serious. And I was like, oh, he looks like he's doing too much. It could be seen, and the way they were looking at each other. And then the guy was talking too much, lost. So there were these, we start to see, one, it's interesting in others. That's just interesting. But to understand ourselves is true freedom. People say discipline equals freedom. No, it doesn't. It'll catch, you see all the time on Instagram, discipline is freedom. No, it's when you love something, you don't need discipline. You do discipline when you want to do something that you don't want to do. Now, we could go into that a little bit, and you could argue and say, sometimes you need discipline to get things done. But if you're neutral to the outcome, then you will do it because you want to do it. If you're doing something that you think you deep down want to do, but you're trying to gain for an unmet need, then you're probably going to have to use discipline. But the discipline will only last a certain amount of time, right? Anyway, I don't want to get into discipline. Remember, just put your hands up if you want to bring up a question.